Hello, welcome to the show. I'm your host Kyle, and we're going to be talking about Baghead. Now, I'm not talking about the Greta Gerwig movie, which some people might remember. Talking about the new horror film, which is out now, and well, in Berlin, Germany, an older man named Owen Locke, Peter Mullan, he owns a rundown pub named the Queen's Head, and on a particularly gloomy night, he attempts to purposefully burn down his establishment, spurning his specialized clientele and a particularly odd woman who resides in his basement. Unfortunately for Owen and for his daughter, he fails. Now, in England, young artist Iris Locke, Freya Allen, currently homeless and staying with her friend Katie, played by Ruby Parker, learns her estranged father has died. She travels to Berlin and, with nothing else to her name, she happily takes ownership of the Queen's Head, at least so she'll have a place to go to sleep. She doesn't even get one night's rest, however, in her sparsely lit abode before being awoken by a stranger named Neil, played by Jeremy Irvine, who is a desperate man willing to pay anything to talk to the woman in Iris's unexplored, to this point, basement. A woman simply called Baghead. Now, this horrific shape-shifting entity can take on the form of deceased loved ones, but only for 2 minutes, after which Baghead regains control. Now, Iris, like her father before her, seeks to exploit this creature and its supernatural power for personal gain, and as owner of the building, Baghead seems to obey Iris to a point, because the longer Iris tries to control this thing, the more it controls her back. With the help of Katie, Iris must now find a way to escape the clutches of Baghead's power before it consumes her and everyone she knows. Now, Baghead is directed by Alberto Corredor, and it's based on an acclaimed 2017 short film which he also directed. It seems the latest in a series of similar horror film adaptations of short films. For instance, I guess just to show how many of these are being made, Bryce McGuire, who had a hand in this film's screenplay, he just adapted his own short film to feature length with last month's release, Night Swim. So it just kind of shows you how many of these are being made. However, unlike Night Swim and many other similar short movie to feature length adaptations, Baghead never feels like it's an idea that's been stretched too far in the process. Quite the opposite, in fact, as the concept and story of Baghead feel strong enough that they could have carried a film much longer than its relatively short 94-minute runtime. The curse and tormented characters at the center of Baghead are intriguing from the word go. The film is similar to other haunting films, such as the recently released Talk to Me. Beyond the macabre horror elements, it's extremely interesting seeing the character of Baghead's ability to revive the dead approached as something of an addiction. Talk to Me did something similar with this. It's something which Iris at first dabbles in only for monetary gain before eventually, I guess you could say, she begins to get high on her own supply, so to speak. And by the time Iris attempts to pull away, she finds that Baghead has her claws dug in deep and refuses to let go. I would prefer the film have had a more set understanding and focus on the extent or the limits of Baghead's power as a supernatural being. However, throughout the film, the entity the entity of Baghead, it both obeys and disobeys Iris, and sometimes a 2 minute limit is a strict cutoff point, and at other times it's not. So throughout the film, the rules, such as they are, feel very loosely adhered to, with Baghead usually doing whatever she wants for the sake of the film's plot or to generate scares. And it is in the scares that the movie stands tall. However, it is definitely an example of less is more. Some of the genuinely creepier moments come across through very subtle means. The entity moving closer to a character in between shots, or an unexpected moment of body horror as it contorts and twists in unnatural ways to become another person or to become something altogether alien. And it's in those moments where Corridor's direction had my hair standing up on end in fright. But it's a little disappointing then that some of Baghead's uniquely effective creepiness is offset by a very cliched approach in lighting and sound design. It has extremely loud stingers that accompany frightening moments. Sometimes it works, but often it feels like just a cheap attempt at a jump scare. And likewise, the dim lighting of the Queen's head in particular feels altogether artificial. Uh, like it's been touched up a little too much in post production. This is to such an extent that as Iris is walking around exploring the place, she's shining her phone's torch around the room, and it barely illuminates anything because the film has been digitally darkened. Now, despite these negatives, I must say that this is still an interesting horror film with some good twists, plenty of scares, and many great ideas. So, Baghead isn't always effectively executed, however, it succeeds in ways that many other short films expanded to feature length do not. And this makes it, I feel, a must see for scary movie fans who are just looking for a fun night at the cinema. So I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5. I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would, to be honest. But yeah, it's a 3 out of 5. It's let down a little bit by those cliched moments. And with that, you're listening to CentralCoastRadio.com, and we'll be back right after this.